Alrighty, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Taco Tuesday over on PrizePicks. Appreciate everybody joining me this morning. We're going to be talking about some NBA player props over on PrizePicks, looking at points, rebounds, assists, three-point makes, and maybe for the first time ever, we've got free throw makes up early this morning. So we're going to take a look at those as well. And of course, if you have any fantasy point prop plays that you're really liking, we're going to discuss those too. So good morning to everybody out there who's joining for this live stream. I appreciate all your support. I think last night overall was a pretty good night for those of you that tuned in here. For those of you that are in the Patreon and Discord community, I think we landed on some pretty profitable picks overall last night. It didn't go completely how we wanted it. There was a couple of guys who kind of crapped the bed, we'll call it. One being Dorian Finney-Smith. This guy could not keep his hands to himself, unfortunately. Ended up in foul trouble all game long, all night long. I took him over 4.5 rebounds with Porzingis out and a number of the other Dallas Mavericks big men out. And, you know, the guy just was glued to the bench all night because, again, he couldn't stop fouling. So he was the biggest letdown, but we landed on a lot of solid picks from yesterday's video. We talked about Wendell Carter Jr. over fantasy points, Daniel Gafford over fantasy points. Both of those guys hit. We knew Joel Embiid was set up for a great game, and he ended up having one. I think he went over his full game points. He went over his first half points. Just a tremendous game for Joel Embiid. I wrote up a couple of picks for Patreon. One was DeMar DeRozan over first half points. He ended up hitting. I also wrote up Terry Rozier, who had me sweating, but he ended up covering 17.5 points against the Washington Wizards. So those picks ended up working out. I had some late night picks that worked out too. We had Kyle Lowry going over his points prop. We had Steph Curry going under his points prop. We had Yurtseven going over his rebound prop that ended up working out. And I had Luka Doncic covering 4 free throw makes, and he ended up hitting that as well. So, like I said, overall, pretty good day yesterday. Let's take a look at the chat, see who's joining me this morning. Jonathan Newman, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for joining this morning. Nick's back up in the building. What's happening to you, Nick? Jen, top of the morning to you as well. Jay Stino, good morning to you. Thanks for joining this morning. E Wicker 864. Wins for most of the community last night. Let's try and do the same today. Great advice yesterday, CJ. Yeah, the month of January, the year 2022 has been off to a pretty strong start. I think we're going to get more stability when it comes to these player props. More players getting back into the starting lineup, less of these role players, these guys we don't know, getting out of the rotation. And, we get a more predictable brand of basketball, hopefully. Everyday Fantasy says, good night last night. Yes, I agree. It was a pretty good night overall. JY2234 says, let's go, CJ and gang. All picks hit last night except for DFS. Yes, he was in foul jail all night long. Hal says, yo, good morning, CJ. Got the Embiid first half and Gafford fantasy points picks from your live stream yesterday. Good stuff. Let's get back to it. Yes. I'm so glad that a couple of those picks ended up working out for you. Kush, Ivory, yo, it's time. It is definitely time. What's up to you as well, Boston? Good to see you this morning. Taking a look at the rest of the chat here. Wow, you guys are flooding the block. Make sure you guys are leaving a like as you enter in the chat, by the way. If you haven't liked the live stream yet, we crushed our like goal of 100 or more likes yesterday. We also went for like 1.6 K views, which was incredible as well. So I appreciate the continued support, folks. Really means a lot. It's going to keep me motivated, keep me going every single day for you guys. Oma9, what's happening to you? Duran, good to see you. You profited $250 last night. Love to see it. Tony's up in the building. We're here. Good morning. He's one of our Patreon members. Shout out to you, Tony, for your support through Patreon. I appreciate you being a part of the community. Leroy's in the building. JMN, what up, CJ? Yesterday was my first time here, and I ended up winning big. Well, since you won big, I expect you like this live stream for me. That would be a nice thank you. Appreciate you as well. Mark Morris, nice profit yesterday. Christmas recovery fund still needed. Yeah, we're working on it. Give us a couple more days here. I think we're on our way. Ronald Green back up in the building. What's up to you? Jeremy Tomlin says, making back all the money that I spent on Christmas gifts this year, and I owe it all to hashtag Prop King Curry. I love that. Thank you so much for that. Jermail, what's happening? Hopefully Taco Tuesday is better than last week. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how them tacos work out. Martin says, waiting on PrizePicks to let me withdraw $250. Nice withdrawal, man. Nice withdrawal. Good winning on Sunday. Let's reflect it for the NBA slate Steph Curry, 1 for 9 on 3-point, but CJ Curry got better odds than that. You know I can make more than 1 for 9, right? I got a little shot on me. Jimmy Green, good morning, beautiful people. Currently freezing his boop off at work. Oh my goodness, hate to hear that. E. Julio says, would have had a 5 of 5, but Jimmy Butler got injured. Yeah, that was unfortunate. Good morning to you, Cindy. Thanks for joining me this morning. Wes Winston's up in the building. Yo, 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 good to see you. Delvin made $2,000 last night, 2 G's. Oh my goodness. Heck of a night for you, Delvin, man. I love to hear that. RB's up in the building. Finally had a good night. Hit 2 10x plays. $1,500. Wow. Wow. Love it. Keaton, hold off on your plays till the end of the show. That way I don't have to scroll through all the comments and try to find what you're talking about. Jimmy says, smash that like button. You know what to do. Mark Morris, good luck with drawing a real pain. Never heard that from, well, at least for a majority of people, but typically the withdrawal process is pretty smooth. I think it takes typically about 48 hours or so. So I don't know. Maybe it's just you. I'm not sure about that. First time here yesterday and big wins for E. Julio. You're a legend. Well, thank you so much. I tried my best to put a few extra bucks in everybody's pocket to be a helpful content creator and connect to a lot of different people through my content. So I'm glad it helped. Yeah, Gambit Kuzma had a great night. Covered everything. Wade says, I hit 5 picks last night. Holy crap. Blaze to the sky. What's up to you? SW843, good morning to you. Miguel, first time here. Well, hopefully it won't be your last. As you can see, Miguel, we typically land on some pretty good plays, some money-making plays. Yesterday was Money-Making Monday after all. Today's Taco Tuesday. We're going to have a theme for every day. How about that? Tony says, hit the like for the Taco Tuesday. Yes, please do so. I appreciate that. Open up them likes, ladies and gentlemen. Love it, love it. Kezi says, predictions for today? Well, I don't really try to predict, but we do get into some pretty heavy research. We do some thorough research on what look like good player props. So hopefully we land on some of those once again. Bantoy, good morning to you. Base the Wolf. Wolf got in the building. Jorge, or George, however you want to pronounce it. Good morning to you as well. JMN, liked. Thank you so much for that. Matt Sessions, great picks yesterday. Helped me to 2 5 for 5 wins. Really appreciate the info. Look, if you guys keep winning like this, PrizePicks is going to ban me. They're going to tell me stop making content, or we're going to sick our legal team on you, our lawyers on you. No, I'm just kidding. They would never do that. I think they like what I do. It brings the community together. But yeah, sounds like a lot of you ended up getting some dubs. Denzel, what's happening? Quap, good to see you as well. Pharaoh, love to see that you played that Clint Capella over 13.5 points. Bridget, good morning to you as well. Just joined Patreon. Appreciate you, Bridget. S-Dub, new here and not sure how to use the information properly yet. Well, luckily for you, we haven't really gotten into a whole lot just yet. I'm just saying the hellos, the greetings, the salutations. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of today's NBA slate. We got 5 games on the slate, by the way, folks. Not a super huge slate, kind of a smallish size NBA slate, but I kind of like those smaller slates. It allows you to kind of narrow down your focus. You don't have to be so all over the place. You can like really hone in on some of your favorite picks. So Leave-In Pierre says, I have a feeling PrizePicks might be watching your videos and make adjustments as you speak. Well, you know what they say, the power of the people, the power of the people. Keep making great content. Thank you, Keaton. And Jeff, good morning to you as well. He won $250 thanks to your research last night and signed up for Patreon today. You're the man. Well, hey, that is a great thank you to me. If I help you win any money, you could just leave a like on these videos. Or if you want to take it a step further, be a part of a community, be a part of an active, engaged group who's talking player props and sports every single day. That's where Patreon and Discord comes in. So you could definitely support through Discord. It's just $20 a month. Listen, you got to win one $10 2-pick power play over the entire month of January in order for it to pay for itself. I think that's pretty easy to do, right? Pretty easy to do. What do you have on your Patreon that we don't get here on the streams? Well, I talked about a lot of picks in Discord and Patreon that weren't discussed here on the stream. This is kind of more of a high level, I guess you could say, not getting too deep or too into the weeds on any research. Kind of the start of your research. That's why I do it in the morning for you on the West Coast. You start your day off with a little bit of preliminary research, so to speak. But yeah, you know, I just try to just to go a little bit further and to do more than what I can here in an hour and a half here on YouTube. So That's pretty much it, man. It's nothing serious. We're just in there having a good time. I'm not Jesus. I don't have the answers. I don't have a crystal ball to all the winning picks every single night. It's nothing major, right? We're just in there having a good time, hanging out. We're talking player props. We're talking prize picks. We're coming together as a team, as a crew, as a family, as a community, and doing our thing each and every night over in Discord. So that's it. Nothing too serious. No pressure. I'm not here to sell you to join Patreon or not. It's totally up to you. If you can afford it, if you want to do it, if you want to be a part of an active community, go for it. All right, enough of that. We will be taking a look at prize picks today. Promo code Curry gets you a double deposit. So when you put in $100, they're going to match it, giving you $200 to get you started. You can use the link down in the description below. Links to everything down in the description below, by the way. Patreon, Discord, prize picks if you want to sign up on props.cash, a fantastic player prop research tool. All that stuff can be found down in the description below. So let's get started. We got 5 games. Enough of the chitter chatter. Let's start things off here with the San Antonio Spurs at the Toronto Raptors. This game has an implied total of 224.5 points. Pretty high total. 7-point spread in favor of the home team, the Toronto Raptors. One name that I really want to keep an eye out on is DeJounte Murray. I know that he is getting really, really close to coming back for San Antonio. Obviously, that would shake things up in a major way for them. You wouldn't see the likes of Trey Jones, for example, in the starting lineup. So I don't know if he'll be back for this game, but I know he's on his way back. Some of the injuries to look out for, though, over on the Toronto side, or over on the San Antonio side: Walker, Murray, McDermott is out, Collins, Kasich, and Bates. Diop is a game time decision. So they got a little list here that you got to keep an eye out on. Over on the Toronto side, Johnson and Dragic are both ruled out, and we got Bonga as a game time decision. So like the total on that game, the spread's a little bit concerning. We'll put it in the yellow zone. It doesn't look like an extreme blowout situation or anything like that. Hopefully it stays competitive long enough where we could feel comfortable taking a full game prop on any of those players. 7 p.m. also brings us the Memphis Grizzlies at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland, in terms of their front court, pretty much 100% healthy now. They got Jared Allen, Lauri Markkanen, Kevin Love, Evan Mobley, all healthy. It's their backcourt that really has a lot of issues. This game has a 216-point total, just a 2.5-point spread. So pretty decent total. Looks like it's going to stay close. Looks like it's going to stay competitive according to the Vegas lines makers. The big name for Cleveland we got to keep an eye out on is Darius Garland. He should be on the way back. He should be back. I don't know if it's going to be tonight. He's got conditioning issues, basically. He's got to get back up to speed, get those legs right, get his breath, his air, his energy right. So maybe he plays tonight, but maybe they take it easy on him and ease him back into the lineup. Other injuries: Colin Sexton's going to miss a lot of time. He's got a torn meniscus. Ricky Rubio out for the year, torn ACL. Isaac Okoro, not really sure what happened to him. I don't know if that's COVID related or injury related, but hate to see him out. Cedi Osman is also out. Looking at the Memphis side, we got to keep an eye on Dylan Brooks, who is a game time decision. If he ends up playing, he's probably going to cut into some Ja Morant and Desmond Bane productivity. Zaire Williams also game time decision. We've got Concar, Melton, Tillman, and Anderson all listed as out for Memphis. 7:30 p.m. Indiana Pacers at the New York Knicks. 206.5 points. Pretty low total here, guys. Be careful taking overs in this one. I don't know. It's going to stay close and competitive from the looks of things, though. Just a 1.5-point spread. Lots of names on the Indiana side: Duarte, Lamb, McConnell, Jackson, Brogdon, LeVert, Batadze, Martin, Warren, already ruled out for Indiana. They got just Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis kind of holding things down here. Those are the only mainstays. The New York Knicks, we have a game time decision on Mitchell Robinson. Right now, he is projected to start according to NumberFire here. Sims also on the game time decision list, already ruled out. Derrick Rose, Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, and Kemba Walker, some pretty big names on the Knicks side, already ruled out for this game. 8 p.m. Phoenix Suns at New Orleans Pelicans. 223-point implied total, 7.5-point spread in favor of the visiting team, the Phoenix Suns. If we look at the list of injuries here: Kaminsky, Saric, Crowder, Nader, McGee, and Ayton. Obviously the big names here: DeAndre Ayton, Jay Crowder, and I guess you could throw JaVale McGee in there. He kind of plays a pretty big role when he's out on the court. New Orleans side: Zion Williamson still out. We got Lewis Jr., Alexander Walker, and Satoransky already ruled out. Brandon Ingram did end up playing last night. Jonas Valanciunas also ended up playing last night, and it looks like they will play again tonight. Which brings us for the final game, the 10:30 game, the battle for California. Not really. I mean, you never know. LA's been pretty bad, so maybe Sacramento gives them a hard time. This game has a great total, 229.5 points. Pretty high total, 6.5 point spread in favor of the Los Angeles Lakers. So they're expected to win this game. Over on the Sacramento side, no Richaun Holmes. He will be out tonight. Terrence Davis, game time decision. We look at the Lakers side. Kendrick Nunn, no timetable for a return, was the latest I've heard about him. Anthony Davis continues to sit out, and we've got Stanley Johnson ruled out. So that's all of the breakdown. If you have any questions or anything like that, I would say stay on top of the news throughout the day. If you're in Discord, I have an NBA news feed set up in there. You could go definitely check that out. And it'll keep you kind of posted throughout the day of what's going on in the association. Good morning to everybody who has joined that I have not said hello to yet. Keith's in the building. Good picks yesterday. Won me some money. Love to hear it. Michael's loving that window. Carter fantasy point play. Easy money. Love it. Love it. Blank says, first time here. Gave you a like. Win me some money tonight and you'll get a sub. Oh, is that how you're going to play it? All right. Oh, ye of little faith, Blank. I see how it is. That's fine. You don't have to sub. Don't sub. Matter of fact, I don't want you to sub. If there's going to be contingencies on our relationship, I don't want you anyway. No, I'm just kidding. Do what you want to do, but if you want to sub, you can sub. As you can see, a lot of people here in the chat won a good amount of money yesterday. So, Timel Tuggle says, how do you use promo code? I don't see an option. I'm not sure which site you're talking about because I got promo codes for like every single site out there. But if you're signing up on PrizePicks, just use the link down in the description below. If it asks for a promo code, just type in Curry. You see it floating above my head here. CURRY gets you a double your deposit bonus. All right. Can you use a promo code when depositing? I don't think so. I don't think they have a redeposit promo code. Good morning to you, said. What's happening? Okoro's dealing with an elbow injury. All right, good to know. It's an injury and not a COVID thing. Love to hear that. Dim Dogs, good morning to you as well. What's up, Chris B? What's happening? Pavel, good day yesterday. Love to hear that. Twist Handles, yo, what's happening to you as well? Said says hit that like button. Said you're a smart dude. For real though, you're a smart dude. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these player props, folks. We're going to start things off looking at points props. I like to kind of look at the last 10 games, see who's been hitting over the last 10 games, and then we'll look at the defensive side of things, see which teams are giving up, the most points, rebounds, assists, fantasy scores, and all that fun stuff. So we're going to start things off by looking at some points. Let me go ahead and refresh Action Labs here, make sure we have all of the latest info pulled in on Action Labs. We'll go down to the points section here. Very cool tool, by the way. I'll be having a promo code for Fantasy Labs too very soon if you want to sign up for that. So starting things off here, LeBron James at 30.5 points. This dude has been on an absolute tear. He's going up against the Sacramento Kings tonight. We're talking King James because in the last 10 games, this guy has covered his points prop in 7 of 10. That's a 70% hit rate. And even better, if we look at the last 5 games here, King James, 80% hit rate, scoring over 35 points per game. Now, he did kind of have a flop or come to Jesus moment in the last game against the Minnesota T-Wolves, had just 26 points. But you look at the previous 4 games, 39, 32, 37, and 43. So when he's going over by quite a bit. And I think this will be a good matchup here against Sacramento for him to potentially return back to that 30-plus point type of scoring. So we're going to head over to Fantasy Pros. Now, this is a totally free tool for you to check out. Again, this is kind of where I go to look at defenses and how they're doing against different players, which props or which stats they're giving up the most points and rebounds and all that stuff too. So I'm going to go to the small forward position because that's kind of where LeBron James typically plays. And then we're going to go find the Sacramento Kings. We don't have to go down too far. They're giving up about 20.6 points per game. So that kind of puts them near the top, more in the middle, but near the top of the middle, if that makes sense. We'll also take a look at the power forward position here because LeBron, kind of a tweener, right? Sometimes he's a small forward, sometimes he's more of a power forward, but you see Sacramento, they're giving up 24.7 points per game to opposing power forwards. So a little bit better matchup for power forwards. Now, if we go down the list here, you can see that they're giving up about the 8th most points per game in the last 7 games to the power forward position. So with all that in mind, looks like a pretty decent matchup here for LeBron. We got the points pulled up. Let's go ahead, type in LeBron's name and see what a projection looks like for him tonight. I got him projected for 27.7 points, which does put him under 30.5 by nearly 3 points. Now, at 30.5 points, you're going to see him on 2 different books right now. 2 different books have him going over -120 and -118 odds. So the projections, not loving LeBron tonight against Sacramento, but the totals on this game are pretty good. The spread's not too crazy. I think it was 6.5 points. So I expect the game to kind of stay close and competitive. LeBron, again, rocking that 70% hit rate in his last 10, 80% hit rate in his last 5. Maybe he gets back to business here against the Sacramento Kings tonight. So that is the first prop that's standing out in terms of points. Another one that kind of looks decent is Tyrese Halliburton here at 14.5 points. We've been, at least the community and everybody that I'm tapped in with, has been taking Tyrese Halliburton over on his assist prop at like 6.5, 7.5 assists, and that's been working out. Tyrese Halliburton's points, though, could be another way to play him. In the last 10 games, Halliburton at 14.5, 70% hit rate. That means he's gone over 14.5 points in 7 of 10 games. Looking at his last 5, not quite as good, but still decent. 60% hit rate, 3 for 5. And then in the last 5, 16 points per game average. So that puts him over tonight at 14.5. So let's go pull up Tyrese Halliburton. Again, with him and De'Aaron Fox in the backcourt, it's kind of hard to tell who's the point guard, who's the shooting guard, because they both have a lot of ball handling duties. They both can score the basketball. They're kind of both combo guards. So it's kind of difficult to really put them in a rigid position like point guard, or this is the shooting guard. So looking at Halliburton here in this matchup against the Lakers, I can tell you this just from memory without even looking at any numbers, the Lakers backcourt not very good typically. And you can see what I'm talking about here. The last 7 games to shooting guards has been especially good for shooting guards, giving up 27.1 points per game. That is the second most in the last 7 games. So this matchup against the Lakers looks like a very good matchup here for Tyrese Halliburton. Just for fun, just for ish and giggles, we'll say. Looking at the point guard position in the last 7 games and the points allowed, we see the Lakers are giving up over 25.7 points per game to opposing point guards. So no matter if you're looking at Halliburton as more of a point guard or shooting guard, the matchup against the Lakers looks like a fantastic one. It looks very good here on paper. Okay, so Fox and Halliburton probably both in play for their points props. Let's go pull up a projection on Tyrese Halliburton. It's close. It's close. They got him projected for 14.3 points, which isn't like a rock solid overplay, but it's close enough for 14.5 that, I feel comfortable about taking the over here. What about you? Looking at the sports books, I've only seen one book here that has any type of action, -115 under 14.5 points on Tyrese Halliburton. So you kind of get an idea what the matchup is looking like, looking very good for both of the Sacramento Kings guards. So you could look Tyrese Halliburton's way, or if you prefer, look De'Aaron Fox's way, but you could kind of see his game logs a little bit more shaky, a little bit more volatile than his teammate, Tyrese Halliburton. So those are a couple of props to take a look at for overplays. Maybe some other ones to consider. Derek White of the San Antonio Spurs going up against Toronto at just 17.5 points. Of course, we want to keep an eye out on DeJounte Murray. Is he in? Is he out? If he's in, I don't know that I love Derek White quite as much. If he's out, Derek White should get more shots. And more shots equal more opportunities to score points, of course, folks. And that's the name of the game here, looking at these points props. We want guys who are shooting the ball with high volume. So anyway, Derek White, 60% hit rate in his last 10 games, 60% hit rate in his last 5 games. Just taking a look at this matchup against the Toronto Raptors. Point guards, if we want to call Derek White a point guard, I think that's probably a safe bet. They're giving up about 21 points per game to opposing point guards. You kind of look at where they rank in this list. They're down toward the bottom, so this could be a difficult matchup here for Derek White. Just for fun, let's just say Derek White's more of like an undersized shooting guard because he kind of is like a shoot-first guard. We go find the Toronto Raptors. They're giving up about 21 points per game to opposing shooting guards, which is like middle of the pack, average type of matchup. So not a super good plus matchup here for Derek White, but we're going to go take a look at his point prop just in case. I got him projected for 17.1 and at 17.5, two different books. Seeing some odds on the under. Not super strong, not super high odds, but under nonetheless. So those are a couple of point props to take a look at. We're going to switch things up here, going to move it over to some rebounds and take a look at who's been cleaning the glass and who hasn't. I want to kind of make these different categories a little bit shorter because we've got an extra category that I want to kind of look into a little bit. We're talking about free throw makes. Usually free throw makes don't get posted till later on in the evening. Today, though, we've got free throw makes this morning to take a look at. So I want to kind of touch on those as well. So we'll kind of keep it shorter in these different categories. Thank you so much. If I haven't said hello to you this morning, it's nothing personal. You know, we're just busy doing the player prop research to help you folks win some more money tonight. But I appreciate everybody joining. If I missed you, here's my hello to you right here, right now. Taking a look at some of these rebound props. Let's get into it. And you can dial things up here on this Fantasy Pros tool. You just go to the rebound category, kind of sort by how many rebounds are allowed and how many from the greatest to the least. That's what I want to say. But anyway, looking at these rebound props, not a lot of super high hit rate rebounders here. I guess we could take a look at Russell Westbrook in what will be a high scoring game. Now, you know me. If this is your first time here, maybe you don't know me, but when a guy's coming off of a flop, I like to go back to his prop. And in this case, Russell Westbrook had just 3 rebounds against the Minnesota Timberwolves. But if you look at the previous 4 games, 13, 10, 12, and 12 rebounds respectively. So I kind of want to see him boost back up to around 10 rebounds tonight. I kind of expect this to be a bounce back spot for Russell Westbrook. At 9.5 rebounds, he does have a 60% hit rate over the last 10 games. If you look at the last 5, an 80% hit rate. So Russ has been definitely getting on the glass a bit more. So we're going to go take a look at the rebounds allowed by the Sacramento Kings over the last 7 games. We don't have to go down too far. The number's not great. If you look at the number here, it's 6.5 rebounds allowed, but it's less about the number here and more about kind of where they rank. And you can kind of see that they're just outside the top 10. So they're one of the teams that give up a pretty decent amount of rebounds. I mean, the number 1 team's given up 8-7. Sacramento's given up 6-5. So I think this is a spot where we could possibly take a look here at Russell Westbrook going over 9.5 rebounds. So let's go ahead, pull up his rebounds on Action Labs. Now I've got him projected for 10.6 boards, which puts him over 9.5 by over 1 rebound. So that's pretty encouraging. But I will say on your favorite sports book right now at 9.5 rebounds, he is a betting favorite to go under at minus 120. So we got to be careful with riding with or trusting in the betting public. Sometimes they're wrong. Last night being an example, Kyle Kuzma, they were all over the under on Kyle Kuzma's rebounds. Kuzma almost hit the over on his rebounds in the first half against the Charlotte Hornets. So the betting public, not always right. Just because they're putting their money down doesn't mean that they know something that we don't all the time. All right. Sometimes you have to fade the betting public. And in this case, maybe this is an opportunity for us to do that. Some other rebounders worth considering, maybe Fred VanVleet. Typically, I don't like taking point guards or little guys like Fred VanVleet on their rebound props, but Fred VanVleet at 4.5 rebounds has covered this prop in 60% of his last 10 games. So pretty decent hit rate, 6 out of 10 games. Things kind of dropped off a little bit here in the last 5 games. He's only covered this prop in 2 out of 5. That's a 40% hit rate, and his average is sitting 4.6. So he's barely over the 4.5 marker here. He's taking on the San Antonio Spurs tonight. So let's take a look at this matchup, see how many rebounds per game the Spurs are giving up to opposing point guards. And it's actually a pretty favorable matchup. They're giving up 7.2 rebounds per game, which is the 7th most. So this is a top 10 matchup here for Fred VanVleet, working out to be a matchup in his favor, so to speak. So let's pull a projection up for Fred VanVleet. I got him going for 4.9 boards. If we're feeling generous, we can round that up, call it 5 rebounds. And at 4.5 rebounds on your favorite sportsbook, a betting favorite at -120 at the moment. So the public, the betting public, putting their money down on the over on Fred VanVleet at 4.5 boards. So again, I don't know that I like taking point guards over on rebounds. Sometimes it can work out. Seth Curry last night was a good one. Whoever shouted that out, I think it was Smoke a Bag of That. Smoke a Bag of That. I believe that's his name in YouTube. I don't know if he's here this morning, but I believe he's the one that mentioned that Seth Curry over rebound prop. They yanked that Seth Curry over assist prop super fast. Actually, they did it while we were here talking yesterday morning. But the rebounds ended up being a good pivot if you weren't able to get the Seth Curry assists. So anyway, my point being, sometimes these little guards can get in there and pull down some boards. Another guy maybe worth considering, OG Anunoby at 4.5 rebounds. He's not up on the PrizePicks board at the moment, but at 4.5 boards, 60% hit rate. The Raptors, though, it's just kind of hard to figure out who's going to rebound because they're more of a team rebounding type of squad. In other words, they don't have one dominant rebounder who's pulling in all the boards like Rudy Gobert or like a Joel Embiid or somebody, or Jokic. Jokic is another one. They kind of all crash the glass. So sometimes Scotty Barnes can be the guy. Sometimes Pascal Siakam can be that guy. Sometimes Fred VanVleet can be that guy. So it's kind of frustrating taking some of these Toronto Raptors and their rebound props. I don't think there's really anybody else worth talking about. Maybe Malik Monk. He's been kind of a coin flip, though. I don't know that I particularly trust him. He can go from having 4 rebounds to 0 real quick. Had 0 against Minnesota. So I don't know. Maybe he's in a little bit of a bounce back spot against the Sacramento Kings. Moving on, though. That's enough about rebounds. Let's take a look at some assist props. Not a whole lot to talk about. Not a whole lot to look at the moment. I'm sure there will be more up. We already talked about Tyrese Halliburton earlier. This dude was sitting at like 7.5 or 7 assists just a few games ago. Now we take a look at him, and he's all the way up at 9 assists. By the way, Bradley Beal yesterday at 9 assists. He didn't get it done. And I don't know if anybody took the under on that prop, but I think when we looked at it, he was at 8.5 live on the show. By the end of the night, he was all the way up to 9. People were slapping the over on Bradley Beal at 8.5 assists. He ended up falling short, folks. So he had those 2 really strong assist games and then just like kind of came back down to earth a little bit. Anyway, Tyrese Halliburton, 9 assists tonight. He's showing a bit more consistency here in the last 4 games. 10, 10, 10, and 2, or 12, rather. 10, 10, 10, and 12. So he's gone over in 4 straight games. Against Memphis, had just 7 assists, so he went under in that one. So they've kind of jacked Tyrese Halliburton's number up. 9.8 assists. So, I don't know what to think here. Maybe it's too high, but he has shown an ability to get it done. Let's take a look at this matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. They're actually giving up a ton of assists to opposing guards, point guards specifically. 9.6 assists. So there's definitely some upside here. That is the 5th most assists allowed per game to opposing point guards. Now, just for fun, because we're not sure what is Tyrese Halliburton. Is he a point guard, shooting guard? Let's go see how the Lakers do against opposing shooting guards. Not as good, not as friendly of a matchup, but 6.1. So again, less about the number, more about kind of where they rank here. 4th most. So giving up a ton of assists to both point guards and shooting guards. Lots of points given up and lots of assists given up to both guard positions. Pulling up a projection here. Let's see what Action Labs has to say about Mr. Halliburton. Wow, they got him all the way down at 6.8 assists. Which puts him quite a bit lower or under his 9 assist number. Now he's at 9.5 out on your favorite sports book. The reason PrizePicks has him up as 9 is probably influenced by how the people are betting out on those sports books. Minus 145 at the moment to go under 9.5. So folks don't think he's going to get 10 assists tonight. They think he's going to go under 9.5 and end up maybe right around 9. The projections don't love him to go over either. They're suggesting we possibly go under on Tyrese Halliburton. But you can see the hit rate here, 4 straight games, 80% hit rate. He has exceeded 9 assists. So kind of confusing. Not sure what to do here. Do we just play the matchup? Forget what the betting public has to say, forget what the projections have to say, ride with the recent trends, ride with this positive matchup for Tyrese Halliburton? I don't know. You have a decision to make. There's a line in the sand. You have to choose which way you want to go. What's up to the DFS Whispers? Thanks for joining me this morning. DFS Whispers also in this content creation game. Definitely check out his channel if you haven't yet. He's on there talking about more than just PrizePicks. So if you're looking for more than just PrizePicks, he talks about PrizePicks too. But if you're looking for more than PrizePicks, that's the guy to go see. DFS Whispers. Check him out if you haven't yet. Taking a look at what you guys are seeing here. I guess, Dave, you're asking about something to do with Patreon. Just taking a quick break. If I am a member of your Patreon, are you going to have your NBA picks tonight? Not only do I post a handful of picks every single night on Patreon, but I'm very, very active, and it's important for me to say this because I think some people are just sitting around like waiting for like Patreon picks, which is cool. I do provide those, but I think where you get the real benefit is being inside the private channels in Discord that are part of your Patreon membership. That's where a lot of picks, a lot of plays are talked about. Not just me, because I don't know everything. I don't have all the answers. You ain't got the answers, Sway. And I ain't got the answers either, Curry. So that's where the community aspect comes into play. We can bounce ideas off of each other. We can see what we're liking. I might put a play out there that people are like, yo, that play stinks. Somebody might put a play out there that I'm like, yo, that's a great play. Thanks for recommending that play. So that's where the community aspect comes in. That's where we all have to get together, talk about these picks and plays every single day. So yes, I do provide some picks through Patreon. We went 2-1 yesterday. We hit on DeMar DeRozan over first half points, Terry Rozier over his full game points. We missed on Dorian Finney-Smith's rebounds because he was in foul trouble all night long. Couldn't get off the bench, basically. So that was out of our control, out of our hands, out of our power. But anyway, that's kind of what, you can expect with Patreon. That's it. It's nothing crazy. I'm not doing anything life-changing or anything like that. I'm not promising you the world. You're not going to get rich overnight. That's not what I'm here to sell you. That's not what I'm here to tell you. I'm just saying if you want to be a part of a community who's really enthusiastic and takes this stuff somewhat serious and has a good time doing it, then that's for you. That's the group you want to be in. It's just $20 a month. You got to win one $10 2-pick power play to cover your expenses. That's it. Anyway, enough about all that. Let's take a look at some assists. Some other assists. I guess we only talked about Tyrese Halliburton. Looking through some of these other ones, Scotty Barnes at 2.5 assists. I don't know if we're going to get him up on the PrizePicks board, but if we do, or if you play somewhere else, Scotty Barnes at 2.5 assists looks like a pretty decent, achievable number. He's gone over this number in 70% of his last 10 games, so I think he's somebody you could take a look at. Harrison Barnes, if we get him up at like 2.5 assists, maybe you look his way in a high-scoring game against the Los Angeles Lakers, but that's about it. I mean, there's not any high hit rate, high assist rate guys up on the PrizePicks board just yet, so I don't know that I'm like really interested in any of these assist props. So let's move it on over. Let's take a look at some of these 3-point props. We've got a number of different names to discuss, 5 different options at the moment. Hopefully we get a little bit more. Let's start things off with Harrison Barnes because at 1.5 3-point makes, this guy in his last 10 games has hit at an 80% clip. Now we open up his game logs here on PrizePicks. His last 5 games, he's averaging 2.8 3-point makes in that span. He has gone over in 5 straight games. 5 straight games. Gotta love it. 100% hit rate. And he's facing off against the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. We talked about this game. Good total. Could be a good spot for Harrison Barnes to continue doing what he's been doing. And that's knocking down 3-pointers at a pretty high clip. So Harrison Barnes, kind of like a power forward. Is that fair to say for the Sacramento Kings? Kind of slots in at power forward. We go take a look. Lakers giving up about 2 3-point makes per game to opposing power forwards. which means that Harrison Barnes has a chance here to knock down 2 3 balls against the Lakers. Let's just look at the small forward position and see how many threes are given up by the Lakers to opposing small forwards. Not seeing them here very high up on the list. Yeah, we got to go all the way down here. They're giving up just 1.3 3-point makes to opposing small forwards. That's in the last 7 games. So better matchup, I guess, for power forwards than for small forwards. So hopefully, Harrison Barnes kind of plays more of that 4 spot for the Kings. Taking a look at the 3-point projection here for Harrison Barnes, I got him going for 1.8 3-point makes, which is closer to 2 3-point makes than it is 1, meaning we should probably be leaning more toward the over on this prop. And he's currently a minus 120 betting favorite to go over 1.5 3-point make. So 100% hit rate in his last 5 games, 80% hit rate in his last 10 games. And he gets a pretty good matchup here against the Los Angeles Lakers. I think we take a shot on this kid, and he knocks down a couple of threes. So there you go. There's one for you to take a look at. Other ones on the board, maybe you look at Fred VanVleet at 3.5 3-point makes in his last 10 games, 70% hit rate, pretty healthy hit rate there. Looking at the last 5 games, 80% hit rate, and he's averaging 5 3-point makes over the last 5 games. So kind of another good play here, another guy who's been hitting at a high clip. Let's look at this matchup against the Spurs. We talked about Fred VanVleet earlier in regards to rebounds, but maybe the 3-point makes is a better way to go. So we're going to go find the Spurs here. VanVleet, obviously, point guard for the Spurs. We're going to go down. Spurs giving up about 2.2 3-point makes in the last 7 games. So they're kind of tough, kind of stingy against opposing point guards. You can see that makes them the team giving up the, 9th fewest 3-point makes to point guards? 9th fewest. So hit rates are good. Matchup, could be better. Could be better. Let's pull a projection up for Fred VanVleet using Fantasy Labs. I've got him projected for 3.8 3-point makes against the Spurs. 3.8, which obviously puts him over 3.5. We look at the sports book here. They got him going under. The money's coming in under 3.5 minus 125 odds. So a lot of conflicting info. We got projections saying you should go over. We've got the betting public saying, nah, we're taking the under. We've got 5-game hit rates of 80%, 10-game hit rates of 70%. So I don't know. A lot of confusion there. You're going to have to take a stand. And see, which way it ends up working out for you. But this one, not a clear cut, over or under type of play. A lot of conflicting info on that one. But I think that's going to be it for 3-point makes. Those are probably your top 2 options if you're looking to go over on a 3-point prop: Harrison Barnes and then Fred VanVleet. And we'll kind of leave it there because there's not a whole lot more for us to talk about. So we finally get free throw makes. We have not talked any free throw makes since I started doing these live streams a couple months ago. And not only did we get free throw makes, we got a whole bunch of free throw makes. So how do we go about figuring out which free throw makes are the good ones to take and which ones are the ones to avoid? Well, I kind of like to start things off by looking at a player's usage. Now, there's probably some free tools out there that can give you this type of information. But if you don't have access to any of those free tools, if you want, a paid tool, a premium tool, highly recommend Fantasy Labs. If you want to hold off, I should be getting a promo code that might save you some money, so it might be worth waiting. But what you can do here is actually look at a usage projection. This will kind of give you an idea which players have the highest usage or are projected to have the highest usage. Now, why usage is important is because that's basically going to be a metric, a way to measure how much a player will have the ball in their hands, like how many touches they're going to get. You can't get to the free throw line without the basketball in your hand, right? I mean, you can be fouled like away from the ball, but most of the time, if you're going to be a player who's attacking the basket or who has a high volume amount of shots, who gets a lot of shots up, or just somebody with a high usage rate who's going to have the ball in their hands a lot, you got to kind of have the ball in your hand to get the free throw line. So who are going to be some of those players? Well, that's a good question. Just buzzing through some of these guys real quick. Tyrese Halliburton, projected for a 34.9, let's call it 35 usage rate. So you could kind of start with him maybe. He's at 1.5 3-point or free throw makes. So we take a look at that. He's kind of hit or miss. It's been up or down for Tyrese Halliburton. He's going up against the Lakers tonight, but we know Halliburton should have the basketball in his hands quite a bit. So that could be maybe one way to go. He's got to get to the free throw line one time. He's just got to make both of his free throws in a game that's pretty high scoring and fast paced. So that could be an option. Harrison Barnes, another guy with a pretty high projected usage rate. So we take a look at his free throw log. Not quite as sexy. So maybe you like Halliburton a little bit more than Harrison Barnes. RJ Barrett, is he up on the board? We could take a look at RJ Barrett. He is not. No Knicks up on the board, actually. Devin Booker, another guy that we know will have the ball in his hands a lot. He's a scorer. He does what he does. Kind of get a look at his game logs. At 4.5 free throw makes, he's averaging 5.4 in the last 5 games, which is more than 4.5. He's got to make 5. And he's going up against New Orleans tonight. So he could be an option worth looking at. So that's how I kind of approach the free throw props. Who's going to have the basketball in their hands? Who are the guys that we know are going to be attacking offensively? Who are the guys that are going to be driving to the hoop? I don't want a guy who's going to be one of those types of players that camps the three-point line. Like, yeah, you could get fouled on a three-point attempt, but it's kind of rare, right? It doesn't happen all the time. Another thing to keep in mind, who are the guys, let's say there's a technical foul. Who's going to be that guy, that designated free throw shooter? In this case, it'd probably be Devin Booker for the Suns. Either him or Chris Paul would be that designated technical free throw shooter. Or at the end of a game, let's say the game's close and the other team starts to intentionally foul a player. Who is that team going to try to get the ball into the hands to? What player is that team going to get the ball into the hands of that player? Like a Chris Paul. They're going to try and get the ball to Chris Paul. They're going to try to get the ball to Devin Booker, right? At the end of a game. Maybe Ja Morant. They're going to send him to the line. The Grizzlies want the ball in their high percentage free throw shooter type of guy's hands. Fred VanVleet. Maybe Derek White. So that's kind of how I approach those. I'm looking for guys who are going to be attacking and aggressive offensively. I'm looking for high usage players. I'm looking for guys who are going to be the designated free throw shooter in a late game situation when there's an intentional foul, or a situation where there's a technical foul and that guy gets to go to the line and shoot the free throw. So won't go too far, much further into that, but if you want to research some free throw make props, I would highly recommend you check out StatMuse. StatMuse is a good way for you to check out who's making free throw makes. So we talked about, I don't know, Devin Booker. So we could go Devin Booker free throws made game logs, and this should give us what we want to see. And then you can kind of get a bigger picture, a larger sample size of how many free throw makes Devin Booker has this season. Now you could take this a step further. You could say Devin Booker free throws made without DeAndre Ayton. So this will show you game logs of Devin Booker, how many free throws he's made without DeAndre Ayton in the lineup. And then it kind of gives you an idea, you know, a more specified search result. You can kind of get an idea how that works. So that's all free for you on StatMuse. You can go check that out. NBA.com, they also have a pretty robust stat system. You could go take a look at first half stats on there, or you can use StatMuse and take a look at first half stuff there too. All right, so that's it. So we'll take some of your questions. We're just under an hour. Let's try to do about 15 minutes, maybe 15, 20 minutes or so of questions, and we'll wrap it up. Let you guys get out of here. It's just a 5-game slate. Nothing crazy going on tonight. So we've done, you know, all we can do at this point. Scroll through some of your comments here. See what you guys are talking about. See what you're talking about. Jordinho says, what up, bro? Just got in. Hashtag replay gang. Marco, you're liking Desmond Bane over fantasy points. Let's go ahead and start with that one. as we haven't talked really any fantasy scores. By the way, you can use StatMuse to look up fantasy scores too. So if you're wondering how a player does first half fantasy points, StatMuse got you covered. If you're wondering how a player does full game fantasy points, StatMuse has you covered. So a great tool, as long as you're able to put in the right search query, basically, you can get some of those results. So you're asking about Desmond Bane's fantasy score. Do we think that Dillon Brooks is going to be out again? Because I know he was a game time decision at the top of the show. If so, he's Desmond Bane's in play. If he is in, Dillon Brooks is in, then I don't know that I like Desmond Bane quite as much. But at 31.5 fantasy points, we look at his last 5 games. He's gone over in 4 out of 5. Over in 4 out of 5, averaging 39 fantasy points. So that's a pretty big average versus where he's at today at just 31.5. So what we can do here is use the models over on Fantasy Labs, and we could type in Desmond Bane's name, and I've got him projected for 31.6 fantasy points. So these models are changing all the time throughout the day. As news comes in, as guys are ruled in, ruled out, the models will update in real time, which is a fantastic thing because not all sites do that. Not all sites are update in real time or update as actively as Fantasy Labs. So I love that about them. But anyway, got him projected at 31.6 fantasy points, which puts him over 31.5. Not a super high ceiling for him. In other words, not a ton of upside in this case. And his rating is 72.9, which is good, average, not great. But yeah, for me, I'm going to have to wait and see if there's any other injury news that we need to be on the lookout for Mr. Desmond Bane. Let's see what else you guys are liking. What else are we talking about? Denzel's mentioning Pascal Siakam's fantasy points. Pascal Siakam, 43.5 fantasy points, has covered this in 3 straight games. Out of the last 5, 60% hit rate, so not a bad cover rate here for Pascal Siakam. Averaging 48.1 fantasy points per game. Let's look at this matchup. Siakam's been kind of serving as like their undersized center. I think that's kind of fair to say. San Antonio giving up about 59.1 points per game to opposing centers. So if he's kind of like that undersized center for them, this is a good matchup for Pascal Siakam. Could be a good one. Let's take a look at the fantasy projections for Siakam. Got him going for 45 fantasy points. He's got a rating right now of 91.1. 91.1. So this looks like a good spot here for Pascal Siakam. Matchup looks pretty nice. The rating looks pretty good, and he's got a projection that's higher than 43.5, going up against the Spurs and Jakob Poeltl. Let's see what else you guys are talking about. We talked about Bane. Ace says, I had fun in my first Discord last night. Appreciate that, Ace. I'm glad you're having a good time. Glad you're making a little money. David says, I'm playing Jalen Smith under on fantasy points. I think Ayton might come back, but I also like the under at 32. If Ayton comes back, it's very nice. Very nice. Okay, so you're liking some Jalen Smith under fantasy points. Let's go take a look at that. He is not a guy that we have talked much about. Little to no Jalen Smith talk on the channel. Looking at the last 5 games for him, though, he has covered this prop in 2 out of his last 5 games. 40% hit rate, but his average is not great, 27.8. But he has been hovering right around 30 to 35, 30 to 40 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So you might be onto something by taking the under on Jalen Smith. I do have him projected at 34 fantasy points, which puts him over by about 2 fantasy points. So he's been kind of serving as the center for the Phoenix Suns without DeAndre Ayton, without JaVale McGee. We kind of look at this matchup here going up against the New Orleans Pelicans. Where are they? They're like middle of the road, but they're giving up like 55.5 fantasy points per game. So you kind of see where the rank is. They're kind of like middle of the pack, middle of the road. You know, not a super great matchup here, but not a bad one either. So for me, I'm going to kind of stay away. Kind of looks a little too cloudy. Little too cloudy. Yes, Jimmy says Patreon is free. So there's like free channels in the Discord. There's free Discord channels that anybody can come in there and use. Plus, I do like once in a while get on like an audio only type of thing and do research for like NFL or some other sports and stuff. So that part's free. But there's also private channels for Patreon members that you don't get access to unless you're a member of Patreon. So I kind of have something for everybody. Free channels, and there's private sport-specific channels. That's where you're going to find me. Those are like the VIPs. If you want access to me, if you have questions for me, I'm going to be more active in there than anywhere else. That's just the way it's going to be. So yes, Jimmy, Discord is free for anyone to join. You can use the bots in there. We've got bots set up thanks to PropStatCash for NBA research, NFL research, and NHL research. There's 3 different bots that you can use. Anybody could use those. Anybody can listen in when I do one of the Prop Talk audio only experiences. Anybody can do that. That's totally free. But if you want like sort of that VIP access where I'm like stat diving, sharing my research and all that stuff, that's where you want to be in Patreon. Okay. A lot of questions about Patreon this morning. Hopefully we're answering them. Hopefully we're making it clear. Listen, I don't want anyone to do anything that they can't afford. It's not life-changing. It's not going to make you rich or wealthy overnight or anything like that. Okay? Just want to quell expectations a little bit. Temper your expectations a little bit. We're just in there having a good time, doing research, sharing info, sharing stats, sharing our favorite picks and plays. Not in there talking about TikTok and stuff like that. We're not goofing off. Not a bunch of little, kids in there. We have fun, though. We do have fun. So join if you want. If you don't want to, no problem. No, I'm not offended. If you leave, if you join and you don't want to sign up next month, that's A-okay. That's it. It's cool. Let's see. What else are you guys talking about? Fred VanVleet first half points looks free. Why do they look free? Why do you guys think that looks free? Because I see a lot of Fred VanVleet chatter right now. 10.5 points. So you think that it's highly likely that he goes for 11? Okay. Let's take a look. The matchup for Fred VanVleet. San Antonio giving up about 22, 23 points per game over the last 7 games. Fred VanVleet, you're saying he's free at 10.5 points. Here's where StatMuse can really come into play and help you out. Fred VanVleet, first half points, game logs. So we type that in. We get some results here. In his last few games, 16, 12, 20, 12. So he's like 4 out of his last 5, 80% hit rate in his first half points, 4 out of 5 hit rate. But we go back a little bit further and look at the last 10 games. He's got some stinkers in there too, y'all. Don't be fooled by the last 4 games. If we make it a last 10, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so out of his last 10, he's like, what, 50% hit rate? He's been hot in the last 4 games. I'll give him that. So, I mean, maybe you go over on Fred VanVleet points in the first half. He's been showing good form lately. So you guys are kind of liking the Fred VanVleet over on 3.5 threes. You guys are also talking about Harrison Barnes can easily knock down 2. Yeah, I don't mind Harrison Barnes. Buddy Dem says, don't sleep on Cam Johnson. Yeah, Cam can shoot the rock. I like Cam Johnson. He's got a good little game. Carson, we talked about some Halliburton points. I think he's in a good spot against the Lakers. Lakers backcourt gives up a lot of points to both the point guard and shooting guard positions. Markel says, I like StatMuse for free throw makes. Yes, very good tool for free throw makes. Helps you out quite a bit. If you guys have any projections, I've never seen them anywhere, but if you know of any sites that have projections for free throw makes, drop that in the chat. I think a lot of people would like to see that, including yours truly. Buddy says, I like Derek White, RJ Barrett, and LeBron James, and Jarrett Allen on free throws. Okay, some good free throw make props being dropped up in here. StatMuse. CJ told us yesterday. Yes, StatMuse. Curry killed me yesterday. Hopefully you're not talking about me. Hopefully you're talking about Steph Curry. He ended up going under his points prop. He was terrible last night. He was terrible. Talk about Sabonis and Miles Turner versus the Knicks. Fine. Since you want to just come on here and tell me what to do, you teal. Sensible. I will talk about Sabonis and Miles Turner versus the Knicks. What do you want to know about them? What do you want to know about them? Let's just quickly look at this matchup here. So obviously Sabonis, he is the power forward for the Indiana Pacers. They're going up against the New York Knicks. Knicks could be without Mitchell Robinson. We're not sure. We're waiting on he's a game time decision, waiting on news. But they're giving up about 21 points per game to opposing power forwards. I've got Sabonis at 21.5 right now. So not a great matchup. You know, they're not one of the teams giving up like 29 points per game. Indiana's giving up 29 points per game to opposing power forwards. So they can't guard anybody, apparently. And then you were talking about Miles Turner versus the New York Knicks. In the last 7 games, the Knicks are giving up the first fewest points per game to opposing centers. Now, I know they're not completely healthy at the moment. Like I said, we got to wait on Mitchell Robinson news. We know Julius Randle's already out. Nerlens Noel is out. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could be a good play, being that the Knicks are so short-handed. If we look at Miles Turner's game logs, 13.5 points. He has failed to cover in 2 straight games. But he does have 32-point upside, 19-point upside. So, yeah, I mean, he could get it done. Sabonis, his game logs, 21.5, last 2 games, 24 and 32 respectively. They're going to be without Brogdon, LeVert. It's going to be the Sabonis and Turner show. These guys will probably have to carry the Pacers. So I kind of get where you're going with this. They're going to have high usage without LeVert, without Brogdon. Kind of get where you're going with that. Let's see. How do you look up first half stats? StatMuse or NBA.com. Both can be very good for first half stuff. Sylvia Hill is liking Turner under fantasy points. Turner under fantasy points. He's at 37 going up against the Knicks. He's only covered this prop, well, technically in 3 out of 5 games. He actually tied with exactly 37 fantasy points against Chicago. Looking at the center position here, we could go over to the fantasy points column, go find the New York Knicks and see how many fantasy points per game they're giving up to opposing centers. Second fewest at 41.2. So it's less about the number, more about where they rank on this list. They are giving up the second fewest in the last 7 games. So I'm, definitely, like I said, waiting and seeing what's going on with the Knicks. If Mitchell Robinson's in, I think that helps them out. If he's out, then yeah, fire up some Turner and Sabonis. But I've got Turner going for 38.6 fantasy points at the moment. I'm seeing a lot of bright green here, which means good for Miles Turner, meaning we should be thinking about taking an over, not an under on Turner. So I'm going to wait and see on that. Just kind of buzzing through here. Like I said, don't want to keep you guys too long on a 5-game NBA slate. Christopher Money. What's happening, my friend? Chris Paul assists. CP3 assists. He is the point god. After all, he's facing off against his former team. Yes, once upon a time, he played for the New Orleans Hornets. Do you guys remember that? All you OGs out there? Chris Paul is at 9.5 assists. He's covered this in 2 out of his last 5 games. That's a 40% hit rate. Now, don't be fooled by this 10 assists per game average over the last 5. A lot of that 10 is coming from 13 against Memphis, 16 against Charlotte. Charlotte, again, hit one of his former teams. They were the Charlotte Hornets. They moved to New Orleans for a little bit. It was a thing. It was a thing. Some of you remember, I'm sure. Looking at Chris Paul's projected assists here, let's pull it up. 9.6. So they like him to go over, do the action projection tool. But at 9.5, he is a betting favorite to go under at -140. So this might end up getting bumped down to 9 before it's all said and done. DC says never betting on Steph again. Just bet the under. Bet the under. The reason I bet the under on Steph last night, while we're talking about Steph, because we go to point guards. He faced Miami last night, right? And I came all the way down here and I looked at how Miami has clamped opposing point guards in the points department at just 19.1 points per game allowed to opposing point guards. I was like, Steph's all the way up at 28.5 points. Then I dug a little bit deeper and I went to StatMuse and I said, Steph Curry versus Kyle Lowry. Let me see how those guys match up. Steph didn't have a whole lot of like overs against Kyle Lowry in their head-to-head matchups. And then I looked at Steph Curry versus the Miami Heat. Didn't look great there either. And then I factored in, well, we got Jordan Poole in the lineup. We got Draymond Green back in the lineup. So maybe there's going to be less for Steph Curry, who's been kind of in a 2-game skid. I don't know. I just kind of put all those things together and was like, I'm taking the under on Steph Curry at 28.5 points. And it ended up working out. And I took the over on Kyle Lowry's points, and that ended up working out. So that's the kind of information that I post into Discord. All right. Pharaoh, how do you access the VIP channels on Patreon? I have posted stuff to Patreon about how to do this at least probably once a week over the last month. I think I just posted something last night. If you go and read the post that I put up last night, the post that had the picks in it, there was a link that I left in there to a previous post that talks about the importance of being in Discord, how to connect Discord and Patreon so that you get access to all the channels that you should have access to. So there's posts on Patreon. If you go look at my Patreon page, if you're subscribed to it, go in there and look, and you will see where I posted a link on how to get Patreon and Discord connected so you get access to all the channels that you should have access to in Discord. All right. Kush says Patreon is a must. Thank you, Kush. Appreciate that. Up $700 in 3 days. Yeesh. Love that, man. Love that. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to put some more money in your pocket. For guys like Kush, people who are tapped into Discord and the private channels in Discord, we're trying to put money in pockets. Joe Dino says over 200 people watching. Oh my goodness, that might be a new record. 200 people watching. Get the likes up. If you're not liking this yet, you crazy. Yeah, Gambit, I haven't seen any free throw make projections or props anywhere either. I will say that Fantasy Labs and Action Labs, they have a category for free throw attempts and free throws made, but I never see anything in here. So I don't think that they're up to speed with free throws just yet. DC says, just play Fred VanVleet over 20.5 points. All right. Appreciate that. Thanks, Jimmy. I see what you're doing. You're trying to be helpful. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Scrolling through, seeing what else you guys are liking here. Nathan says he literally drives from Illinois to Missouri to play PrizePicks. Love it. That's crazy. Man, you got to get your fix. I feel you, man. I feel you. It's a lot of fun. Aisha says, can we check Evan Mobley and Lauri Markkanen's boards? I believe that Lauri Markkanen's boards was a hit if you took the over in the last game. I think it was at like 4.5 rebounds. Let's take a look at Markkanen, because at 5 rebounds in his last 5 games, he's hit actually at a 100% clip. Now, a couple of those were ties or pushes where he landed on exactly 5 rebounds. He's going up against the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. He's averaging 6.2 rebounds per game in that 5-game span. So real quick, all you got to do for this, Markkanen, more that small forward role. You got Mobley at power forward, Jared Allen at center. So we got 3 big guys in there for the Cavs. And then we go ahead and we sort from who's given up the most rebounds to who's given up the least. We go down and we find Memphis. We don't have to go down super far. Memphis kind of giving up a decent amount of rebounds per game to opposing small forwards, 8.2 rebounds per game. So I say that this matchup is not bad. Not bad. Let's pull up a projection for Markkanen. You guys have been hitting the over on his rebounds here lately. At 5.5 rebounds, that's where you're going to find him on your favorite sports book. People are betting the under minus 140 favorite to go under 5.5, which is why he's at 5 on PrizePicks, but I've got him projected at 6.2 rebounds today. So they suggest maybe we lean toward the over. Worst case scenario, he ends up with exactly 5 and we end up in a tie or push type of situation. So there you go. Lauri Markkanen could be in a good spot. Sylvia saying that Julius Randle is not for sure out yet. He's questionable. Okay. I had him ruled out according to NumberFire, but things are very fluid. Things are fluid here. So maybe he's not completely ruled out. I like what you're saying there. I like what you're saying. Bismack Biyombo. Heard it here first. What are we talking about? Bismack Biyombo. Is he on an NBA team right now? Where has Bismack Biyombo been? I'm a Magic fan. Once upon a time, we had Bismack Biyombo and Serge Ibaka starting for our team. Wow, Bismack Biyombo, that's a blast from the past. I didn't even know he was in the freaking league. Best picks. The best picks are always the ones that win. Derek wants to know, who is your favorite prop for tonight? Oh, well, this is very high-level research, Derek. I don't know that I have enough information or intel, let's just say, to really nail down my favorite pick right now. I'll be doing more of a deeper dive coming later on this afternoon once we get a little bit more news, who's in, who's out, that type of thing. But I don't know, gang. What do you guys think? Who are your favorite picks? Because I don't know, how to answer that question. I thought Harrison Barnes at 1.5 3-point makes looked like very doable. I mean, his hit rate 100% in the last 5 games going up against the Lakers. I don't know. Tough question right now. Put me on the spot, man. I don't like it. I don't like being put on the spot. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research, though. So I'm not sure right now who my favorite pick is. How are we doing today, by the way? I think we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. Dylan says, I help him so much. I'm glad I helped you out, Dylan. Sabonis points or rebounds? Ooh, going up against New York. Again, I'm not really looking to lock anybody in from this game. I mean, Sabonis rebounds have been great the last 4 games. He's covered in all 4 of them. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting for news on the Knicks. Because now I'm hearing Julius Randle's not truly out yet. Mitchell Robinson's a game time decision. We don't know if he's in or out yet. That's going to affect things. That's going to impact things. The matchup against the Knicks is a difficult one. On paper, you saw it. I mean, I could pull it back up for you. Maybe you didn't see it. But we look at the power forward position. We go to how many points that the New York Knicks are allowing. It's not like a great matchup here. They're giving up 21, which kind of puts them like in the middle, but down toward the bottom of the middle. Okay. And then the center position, points allowed by the New York Knicks, they're giving up the fewest points per game in the last 7 games to center. So I got to see who's in and who's out. I don't know yet. For the Knicks, I gotta wait. Why are there so many free throw props? That is a great question. I don't know what's going on. They woke up on the right side of the bed today. They gave us a ton of free throw props, and they gave them to us early. A ton of free throw props, and they gave them to us early today. I don't know why there's so many. Herbert Jones rebounds. Jodinho dropping a bomb, potentially. Let's look at Herbert Jones. Herbert Jones, with Brandon Ingram and Joe Val out, I like some Herbert Jones. But those guys are back in. So how do we feel about Herbert Jones now? 6, 6, 7, 6, and then his rebounds were down to 5, but still enough to cover. 100% hit rate last 5 games, and he's covered this prop in 5 straight games, averaging 6 rebounds per game. So let's pull up a projection real quick for you on Herbert Jones rebounds. I don't have one. Action Labs doesn't care about Herbert Jones. Let me refresh. Maybe they've added him in here. Nope, I don't have anything for Herbert Jones yet. Yep, that's how you spell Herbert for sure. So you're going to have to check maybe some other sites. Hopefully we'll get a projection up on Action Labs later on for Herbert Jones. Craig's talking about Patreon, saying it's totally worth it. He seems to be enjoying it. Cool. It's a great community, just talking sports and different plays throughout the day. Yeah, it's nothing serious, guys. I'm not up here, saying it's going to change your life or anything. We're just in there having fun. It's nothing crazy, I promise. I don't have any holy grail or something hidden that's going to unlock victories and stuff. But we have started off this year, very good. January 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Profit. It's not always going to be like that. Fair warning. I said it last night in last night's post. All the picks aren't going to hit all the time. So only risk what you can afford to lose. Make sure you're, kind of keeping track of your bankroll, what you're putting out there every night. Malcolm wants to know, is PrizePicks legit? Yes. On many levels. It's a legit fun way to play. They are a legit largest independently owned daily fantasy sports company out in the United States or North America. So yes, they are legit, and they are definitely on the way up. They just had John Collins and Matt Ryan invest in PrizePicks, two of Atlanta's very own. PrizePicks is based out of Atlanta, by the way. You guys are still talking Fred VanVleet up in here. Holy Toledo. You guys are really liking Fred VanVleet. That seems to be the consensus. Oh, David says that Fantasy Data does projections, but it's a paid-for site, a premium site. Well, that's good to know. Research Prevail says, late to the party today, but let's get it. Won $650 yesterday. Want to add a digi to my holdings. Love it, man. Love it. Research Prevails, one of our Patreon Discord members. Tuck and Roll, what site is this? Well, we got PrizePicks up on one site. We've got Fantasy Labs and Action Labs up on another site. We've also used StatMuse today. We've also used this site, which is free. Fantasy Pros is just a defense versus position. Gives you a couple different looks. Game recency, season view, last 7 games, last 15 games, last 30 games. You got to pay for Fantasy Labs. If you want access to Fantasy Labs at a discount, hold off. I'll have a promo code coming soon. You can take advantage of that offer. But yeah, there you go. Easy Money TV says, I appreciate you, bro. Let's. This is a great channel. Let's all win tonight. Let's try to do that. That would be great. Looking through a few more of these picks. Did we talk about Josh Hart fantasy? No, we have not. And by the way, hello to you, Will. Hashtag replay gang. You're live and in living color, it sounds like today, though. Let's take a look at the fantasy scores for Josh Hart. And are you liking Hart over or under? I would assume over, because in the last 5 games, he's hit in all 5 of those games, 100% hit rate. He's averaging nearly 10 fantasy points more than what his line is set at just 32.5. Hart, kind of a, tweener, shooting guard, point guard, not really sure what to kind of call him. Phoenix, let's go find them and see how many fantasy points per game they're giving up to opposing shooting guards. Did I miss them? Maybe I missed them. They're giving up 41.1 fantasy points per game to opposing shooting guards. It's going to be him and Devontae Graham in the backcourt. Let's look at the point guard situation here. Phoenix, they're giving up 46.6, so not a bad matchup by any means. Not a tough, difficult matchup for Josh Hart. Maybe there's some potential here for him to go over again, but we got to remember Brandon Ingram's back in the lineup. Jonas Valanciunas back in the lineup for the New Orleans Pelicans. Josh Hart's fantasy points came down a little bit. He's down at 32.8 the last time he took the court. I've got Hart projected for 34 fantasy points. Now, Fantasy Labs says that he is questionable at the moment. I don't know how true that is, but he might be somebody that we need to wait and see on. Marcus, you're asking about some Derek White under 29.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Well, we don't get that up on the PrizePicks board. They don't do points, rebounds, and assists, but they do fantasy points. He's at 37.5 fantasy points. So let's just pull up his fantasy points real quick. Got him projected for 34.5. So they like him to go under. Not a very highly rated pick or play for tonight. And I can pull up a points, rebounds, and assists projection for you using this tool, Action Labs. which is, again, part of Fantasy Labs. Got him projected for 26.4. So they like him to go under. So he's a favorite to go under his fantasy score, and he's a favorite to go under his points, rebounds, and assists, which those three things make up a good portion of a player's fantasy score. So it's looking like an under type of day for Derek White. David Winker says, Sabonis and Turner are pretty sharp. Dwayne Washington Jr. has some real points prop value. Check a projection for the fam, please. So you're wanting to look at Dwayne Washington Jr.'s points prop. There he is. Look at that hair. This guy's got a head of hair on him. 11.5 points. He had 20 in his last game against Cleveland. We talked about Indiana's backcourt, severely thin. No Karis LeVert, no Malcolm Brogdon. So somebody's going to have to step up. No Duarte. That's another guy that's out. So maybe it's Dwayne Washington. Got him projected for 16.5 points today, folks. He's at 11.5 on PrizePicks, 12.5 out on your favorite sports book. So we're seeing 1 point of value here on Dwayne Washington Jr. So a difference of 1 point between PrizePicks and the sports books. At 12.5 points, people are betting the over at minus 130. So you know if they're betting the over at 12.5 points at minus 130, that they would definitely be betting the over at 11.5 points. Probably at like what, minus 150, 160 odds, maybe higher. And then again, you know, the projection, 16.5 points, 5 points more, 5 points more than where he's at right now on PrizePicks. I think you make a good point there, my friend, Mr. Houdat. Loving it. What's up to Chill Robots? Thanks for joining this morning. Is there going to be a Taco Tuesday? Well, there has been typically for the last several weeks. I would expect that they keep the Taco Tuesdays rolling today, unless we're taking all their money and they don't want to give us any tacos. Victor, you're talking about Justin Holiday Fantasy. Let's take a look at him real quick. I'm just trying to buzz through these. 22 fantasy points. I'm just going to pull up a projection. Not going to go super deep into this, but for you, I've got him at about 25 fantasy points, so that could be an overplay. He has gone over in his last 2 games. Going up against the Knicks tonight. Victor says, new to the channel, brother. New sub here. Thank you for the content. Thank you for subbing. Appreciate you, Victor. Glad you're liking what we're putting down. How do you feel about Siakam over on Rebounds tonight? I talked about Siakam and the Raptors. They're kind of a frustrating team to try and figure out who's going to be their primary rebounder. It seems like they do kind of a rebound by committee. You've heard of like running back by committee in the NFL. They're like a team that likes to rebound by committee. Seems like the whole squad gets on the boards. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam. You just never know who's going to be that guy. So I don't know. Not sure if I love Pascal Siakam tonight in terms of rebounds. Could it work out? It could work out. I mean, he's probably their best rebounder. Corey Allen says, referencing the free throw prop seems like a trap because it seems like there isn't any edge on the regular props. They just want us submitting wonky lines. Don't do it. A lot of those lines are iffy. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of noise. I kind of agree with what you're saying with the amount of volume up here. You don't want to take the guys that are not going to have the basketball in their hands. You want the high usage guys. You want the guys that are going to be aggressive, attacking the hoop. Maybe like an RJ Barrett. He's gone over in 3 straight games. With all of the players that are ruled out for the Knicks, Derrick Rose, Kemba Walker, maybe Julius Randle, this guy's going to have the ball in his hands more. He's going to go up against the Indiana Pacers. He's gone over, in 3 straight games. High usage guys. That's who you want to target if you're going to take free throw props. Guys that are going to have the basketball, guys that are going to be attacking, guys that are going to be getting to the foul line. Ingram, he's shown some pretty good free throw form in the last 5 games. 7 against Orlando, 7 against Milwaukee. We know he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. But, do I want to take a free throw prop on, I don't know, shoot. Who's somebody who's probably going to have, a low usage rate? I don't know. Maybe Jaren Jackson Jr., if this is more like a guard-focused game. Like you look at his free throw logs and it's 4, 4, 1, and 1. He doesn't typically go over 4 free throw makes. So like I wouldn't want to go over on him. So yeah, you got to, don't just click on these blindly. You got to dig a little deeper for sure, Corey. I agree with what you're saying. JC says, just stumbled on your channel. We'll be subscribing. If you like different DFS platforms, you definitely need to look into Super Draft Pro. Never heard of that one. But I will take a look. Thank you for leaving that. Dylan, you're liking some Siakam boards. He's at 8.5. I just don't know that I love it. The Raptors are frustrating. They're a frustrating team when it comes to rebounds. Some juicy props today to mix in with the tacos. Gonna be a good night. I can feel it. Yeah, I'll be doing some deeper dive research for all you Patreon people out there. Appreciate you guys. Haven't had tacos in so long, no doubt. Haven't had real life tacos or a Taco Tuesday in a minute. Yeah, Fox is another guy. You know that Halliburton and Fox, they're going to have the ball in their hands a lot. So maybe you look at De'Aaron Fox. I mean, he's got 14 free throw upside against Miami. 4-5 might be a little high, but the Lakers suck. Their backcourt defense sucks. I kind of would rather have Halliburton at 1.5. It just seems like a little easier, a little more doable. Get to the free throw line once, make both of them, boom, you're over. Let's see here. Scotty Barnes over 13.5 points. That sounds pretty good. I would like to get Scotty Barnes' assists back up there at 2.5. Scotty Barnes, 13.5 going up against San Antonio. Let's just look at it real quick. I'll pull a projection up for you. I got him projected for 14.8, which obviously is more than 13.5. We're seeing him at 14.5 points on 3 different books. So PrizePicks is definitely taking a lower road here, a lower number at 13.5. So there's definitely some value here. Anytime you see a difference like that, like the sports books, their lines makers versus PrizePicks and their lines makers, if there's like a 1 point difference, or maybe it's yardage in the NFL or whatever, you gotta take advantage of when you get a little bit of value there, and we're getting that right here. 13.5 on PrizePicks, 14.5. Yes, the public is betting the under at 14.5, but that just means that maybe he gets 14 points. And 14 would be enough if we want to take the over on Scotty Barnes at 13.5. We got the projections at 14.8, nearly 15 points. So, yeah, I don't mind the over on Scotty Barnes. I don't mind. Taco Tuesday? Yeah, that guy who hitchhikes. Cool name. They do a Taco Tuesday promo on PrizePicks where they discount a random player prop. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be. But, yeah. If you guys say Fred VanVleet one more time, you guys are in love with Fred VanVleet. What do we love about Fred VanVleet so much? That he's gone over in 4 straight games, averaging 27.2 points per game in his last 5. You guys love some Fred VanVleet. What was his projection? I think I looked at this, didn't I? Did I look at this already? Let's pull him up. 21.3, puts him real close to the 21.5. He is projected, close to 21.5. Got a couple of different books where the betting favorite, he's a betting favorite to go over 21.5. All right, I mean, yeah. Okay, maybe some Fred VanVleet. Spurs, how they doing? Giving up about 22.8, so like middle of the road, average type of matchup. Not a super great plus matchup or anything like that, but yeah, Fred VanVleet. There you go. Where do you find free throw stats again? Well, you can find them on NBA.com. If you're just looking for like game logs, you can also look at StatMuse. It's another one that I like to use and look at. Buddy them, you're talking about Kevin Love's fantasy points. Don't worry, I see you. Kevin Love's fantasy points have been pretty good here lately. He's gone over 33 fantasy points in 5 straight games. 5 straight games. Now, I'm a little concerned if Darius Garland plays that usage goes kind of somewhere else and goes away from Kevin Love, and that his usage comes down a little bit. But he does come off the bench. So I don't know how much time him and Garland will spend on the court together, but it's something worth monitoring. He's facing off against Memphis. I'd call him, power forward, kind of an undersized center. I think he slots in at center sometimes for Cleveland. Memphis giving up about 45.7 points per game in the last 7 games to power forwards. We look at the center position. Memphis has given up, 41, which is the first fewest points per game to the center position. So it might be a tough night for Jarrett Allen's fantasy points going up against Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. Nonetheless, though, let's pull up a projection for you on K-Love. Got him at 32 fantasy points. So slightly less than 33 according to Fantasy Labs. JC, appreciate you, my friend. I will definitely keep up this awesome work. I'm glad you stumbled upon the channel as well. Hopefully you've liked the live stream and you've subscribed. And if you want to take it a step further, ring the bell. Make sure that the notifications are turned on so that you don't miss any of my content. Let's take a couple more questions, guys. We are already over 1 hour and 30 minutes. We'll take these last few that you have here. They might taco Fred VanVleet now. Maybe. That would be cool. Darian, you're asking about Desmond Bane over on Fantasy Points. We talked a little bit about Bane earlier. I want to wait and see because I think Dillon Brooks is a game time decision. So I'm going to take the wait and see approach, kind of wait on some of this news. We're waiting on like some Knicks news. We're waiting on some Grizzlies news. So that's going to be my approach. I'm going to be patient today. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Things are starting to slow down in chat. This is a good time for me to make my escape. Thank you so much. If you haven't liked the stream yet, please do so on your way out. Thank you so much for subscribing, supporting, being active in the chat, leaving some winning plays for everybody to kind of think about. Hopefully this live stream kind of gets your gears turning. Don't let this be where your research ends. Let this be where your research begins. Take some of the little tidbits that we've dropped in here, the nuggets that we've dropped in here, and run with them and do more research, okay? And for those of you who are in Discord and in Patreon, you know that I'm going to go hard in the paint when it comes to the research for tonight's 5-game NBA slate. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 11 a.m. Eastern. Appreciate you, JC. Thank you so much, man. I'm going to keep grinding. Appreciate you, man. All right, I'm up out of here, guys. Peace.